Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us here on the ice on Amateur Sports TV. We're diving into a hockey league, a Tier 1 program in the United States, the USHL for once, because we finally are able to see Canadian hockey players playing the sport they love, ice hockey, as well as other hobbies and whatnot in different cities in North America. We've been on a lockdown for far too long here in Canada, and we're starting to see players in the USHL really become the cream of the crop, and putting their best skate forward. And one of those players is second-year player from here in Winnipeg, Dawson Pasternak, who plays for the Chicago Steel. He's going to join us for part one of our discussion about playing hockey right now as opposed to not playing hockey, his roots in the peg, and we're going to stamp him down with our fast five questions to end the interview. Then we're going to bring on his GM, Ryan Hardy, and talk more about the USHL, what the pandemic has meant, and more importantly, we'll talk about the gap that's been closing between Canadian and American hockey players. Thanks for joining us here on the ice, and please welcome Dawson Pasternak of the Chicago Steel. Joining me now, Dawson Pasternak. I'm saying your name right, correct, Dawson? I should have asked you that beforehand.
Yep, that's right.
So do you get any reference from, are you related to pasta in Boston?
Everybody asks me that question. I always tell them I am, but I'm not.
That a boy. Ego is right up there, right? Got to take it all when you can, right?
100%.
100%. Dawson, I got to ask you, I mean, do you miss Winnipeg winters?
I do, but I guess it's kind of nice to get away from it a little bit too, the freezing cold. But, I mean, Chicago can get pretty cold as it is, but, yeah, I definitely miss being back home.
The Windy City, parents, your older brother. Does your older brother still live in Winnipeg?
Yeah, he does.
Right on. So let's go back a little bit. Let's get in the Wayback Machine. Do you remember those first pair of skates you wore? Dad introducing you to the game? Older brother bumping you in the boards?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of grew up just, I skated for a little bit, and then I got into hockey when I was 4 or 5 years old, and I played with my older brother for a little while there, and when we got to an age where we couldn't play together, then we went our own ways, obviously, but yeah, I mean, it was fun playing with him while I could.
Absolutely. No, sibling rivalry is always good on the ice. Talk about your later years as you started playing into the tiers, the double A's and the triple A's. When did you really become passionate about this sport and knowing that it potentially could take you to cities and places you never dreamed of?
Well, I mean, I guess I never really knew where it could take me. It was always just I loved the sport and I wanted to do the best I could every single day. So, when it got to the double A and the triple A years, and then finally it was like, oh my goodness, you could be drafted in the Western League. Like, I worked my ass off, and I got everything done I could there.
So then we get into those double A, triple A years. What are some of the words or the lessons your coaches or maybe your dad had taught you along the way that has made you into this young adult you are?
I think one of the things is I'm a smaller player, if you don't know, but definitely never play like a small player and play like one of the bigger guys on the ice, and that's definitely helped me along the way.
No doubt. You always, I mean, I mentioned sandpaper in the intro, but you are one of the smaller players. And one of your other interviews you had with the Steel organization, you can't play with fear.
Nope.
Nope, not simple as that. Hey, nope, you can't. And
Never.
it's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog, right?
100%.
100%. Dawson, what style of game do you like to play the most growing up and now into playing in the USHL?
Growing up, obviously every kid, wanted to be the goal scorer and the playmaker and stuff, and that was all fun. But when it got a little challenging, like I really tried to focus on my two-way game and stuff. And when I got to my second year at AAA, I actually played a year of defense there. So that really helped with my game. But, I mean, I still love scoring goals when I can and stuff, but definitely a two-way player.
That year you played defense, did it get you to see the vision on the ice a little differently? perhaps see the game from more of a more from the periphery kind of speak versus always having that drive to the net?
Yeah, I mean, it opened up my eyes to a different perspective of the game almost. A lot of more time and space, and just different ways to look at the game and see the game, and especially like now back as a forward, like the responsibilities the D have and how you have to cover them and you be all over them, and you have to be very, very, very good down low to help them out because it's a very challenging job back there.
For sure. Growing up, what were your favorite numbers being worn?
I've worn 11 like practically my entire life. Honestly, I don't really have like a good reason. It was just when I was little, there was no Jets in Winnipeg or anything. So my favorite team was the Oilers, and I don't know why, but I just loved Mark Messier and the name and stuff, and so I always took his number ever since I was a little kid.
He was a true leader on both the Oilers and the Rangers for many years. It's a good number to have. I never wore 11. I can't say that I did, but 11's right up there. I like that. Let's talk a little bit about how you became a member of the Chicago Steel, because this story is fascinating. Before we get to the story, Dawson, tell me, how did you hear about the USHL? Was it something that you were pursuing, or was it a team from that league looking at your play and saying, hey, have you thought about playing in one of these American cities?
So actually, I was at the Portland Winterhawks camp. I guess when I just turned 15 years old there after we were all drafted and stuff, and my coach from the Sioux Falls Powers, where I played 16th year, her name's Noelle Needham, and she was a guest scout at Portland's camp there. And one of my best friends from back home, he was already playing in the U.S. for her team. So he kind of told her like, hey, give him a look or whatever while you're there, like just to see. And so she watched me and offered me a spot to come play for her team. So um, I didn't say no, and I don't regret it at all. I loved it there, and I ended up going to play for her there in Sioux Falls. And I honestly had no idea what the USHL was or anything like that. But that year playing in the States, like I kind of figured out what it was, especially having the Sioux Falls Stampede there in the city.
So it went from Sioux Falls. Did you come back home and then Chicago came calling?
So I played with Sioux Falls that year, and then the following year I was going to play for the Winterhawks. I played 5 preseason games, got sent back down to Sioux Falls Power there. And when I got back, I guess Noelle, she's now the assistant GM of the Steel as well. So she had some pretty good connections before there, and she kind of told them like, you could give him a chance here, like give him a tryout or something like that, like something along those lines. I don't really know. But yeah, so I came back to Sioux Falls and I played a week and a half with the team there, and then I got that opportunity to go and try out for the Steel there. And once I did, I played, I think it was 2 games that weekend, and back to Sioux Falls to grab my stuff, and right back to Chicago I was for the rest of the year.
And you haven't left since. I mean, obviously in the off season, did you come home in the off season, or did you stay in Chicago?
Yeah, I came back when our season got canceled from COVID last year, but I was right back here at the end of August.
How interesting was that? I mean, you're ending a season early in March, and here you are going back in August amidst, craziness, pandemic all over. How are you feeling personally, knowing you were still able to not only play hockey, but did it feel like you were taking a chance with, consistent conditions out there?
Um, Honestly, it was more just I was really upset that we didn't get to finish the season last year. Like our team was on such a big roll, and I think we had a really good chance there winning at the Clark Cup. So, and this is where I wanted to play, no matter what happens with the season, with COVID or whatever it was. So, coming back here, I knew there was a lot of good protocols in place with everything going on, and games would get canceled, and the testing every week or so, like everything seemed safe and everything was going good. So coming back, getting an opportunity to play like most others probably back home aren't right now, like I wouldn't pass it up.
No doubt. I'm pretty sure there would be hundreds of thousands of hockey players wishing to be in your skates as opposed to sitting and riding the pine for weeks and months on end. Dawson, can you give us a bit of shine a bit of a light on what the protocol has been for your team when visiting different arenas, coming back home? Is there any certain precautions that have changed over the time?
Yeah, so every rink we get in, we get our temperature checked. We wear masks everywhere on the buses. Depends where we are on the road trips and stuff. Like we have to take 2 buses, so we're spaced out and stuff. So everything has really good protocols. Everyone's really safe, and if the odd case comes up and stuff, like it's taken care of, and everyone's healthy out of it.
That's awesome. So it's been a league sanctioned set of protocol and guidelines that each team and player follows.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. We talked about your game on the ice a little bit, the grittiness, the sandpaper, the 6'4" player that's only about 5'11" wearing skates, 5'10" wearing skates.
5'10" probably, yeah.
Okay, so we'll give it that, Okay. Right on. Are you a player that would be pounding the front of the net, or someone that looks to pass on the 2-on-1? Describe your game a little bit more, Dawson.
I think sometimes I need to shoot the puck a little bit more. I love to be that playmaker guy if I can, and obviously, like we said earlier, like I play with no fear out there. I really try not to, so I'm not afraid to be in front of the net or go in the corners with those big guys or anything. So I play a really hard and competitive game.
What part of your game do you need to think you improved the most over the last year?
I think it's just getting overall like strength in the gym and getting stronger on the ice, so I can stay with those 6'3" guys on the ice and battle with them and win those puck battles and stuff. So last summer and stuff, like I was making sure I was in the gym and working on the ice on my center of gravity and stuff like that to stay up and keep up with everybody.
How important is that part of the game now, the off season, to not only recharge the battery, to make sure you're coming into camp with your first and your best skate forward now? Because a lot of these youngsters, especially now when they haven't had that large amount of time on the ice, I'm not saying they're lazy, but they're just losing focus per se. How are you able to maintain a focus knowing that you're going back to camp in August and you got to crack this team and you want to be part of that winning tradition in Chicago?
So for me, I just love the sport. I love the game, and I will do anything I can to make sure I can play and play for a team, especially like the Chicago Steel here. So that was all the motivation I needed to get in the gym this summer and to get on the ice and to work really hard so I could come back to camp ready.
Fabulous. What part of now in a normal year? I mean, let's talk about last year. You probably had a little more freedom last year to check out Chicago, the city, the sights, the sounds. What's your favorite part of Chicago, the city, you enjoy the most?
I haven't been there too much, but I think it's really cool. Just right in downtown, there's this big bean. It's some tourist attraction down there or something. So it was pretty cool when I saw it for the first time. But just being down in the city, it's pretty cool down there.
The Silver Kidney Bean. I've been to it myself. It's an interesting attraction.
It is, yeah.
Do you know why it's in Chicago?
I have no idea. I don't know the history behind it, but it's something that lots of people like to see and do, so I had to check it out myself as well.
I agree, Dawson. So we're looking at a season right now. Your record 16-4-2 with the upcoming weekend, the Tilt coming up. What part of the last question before we get to the Fast Five? This season would be considered a success if fill the rest of the sentence in.
I think I achieved my personal goals. There's no like stats I need to hit or anything like that. But if I feel like I'm playing the right way on the ice, if I'm doing the right things for our team and everything like that, I think I'll be happy with the season. And especially if we're winning games, there's no complaining here. And obviously the ultimate goal here is to go back to the playoffs here and eventually win the Clark Cup.
How impressive would that be to put a little bit of jewelry on your finger and bring it home and show mom, dad, and older brother?
Oh, that would be amazing. I
Amazing.
I really believe we can do it, and I think we will.
Well, Dawson, I wish your team good luck. Currently, you guys are in first place right now. The Lumberjacks kind of nipping on your heels in that division. We'll get to the Fast Five. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. 5 questions real quick. Give me your quickest answer you can, or elaborate if you want. Totally up to you. Number 1, Chicago is known for its deep dish pizza, correct?
Yes.
Have you been to a deep dish joint, and what is your favorite toppings?
I have been. I don't know what it's called, but just strictly like cheese pizza. I like it the best.
Just a deep dish cheese pizza. All right, simple, easy. We talked about this. What would be the best thing about Chicago if you were a visitor? Would that be the Bean to go check out, or Michigan Mile?
Oh, I don't know. Everyone has their own little thing, but I think the Bean's something you got to check out.
Okay. You have a choice of 4 games to go to, but you only have 1 day. Which one are you going to? You're going to a Hawks home game, Bulls home game, you're going to see the Bears, or Chicago Cubs? I'll leave the White Sox out because I think Cubs is more important. Unless you're a Cubs fan. Are you a Cubs fan?
No, I don't really like baseball that much, but I would definitely choose a Bulls game.
Okay. Well, just to see MJ's trophy or MJ's statue. Have you seen it at United?
Yeah, I have. So I've watched a few Hawks games, and everything at the United Center I've been to, it's unbelievable. The fans, the atmosphere there, like it's ridiculous. But I've seen a few, NHL games now, and I've only been to 1 basketball game. But I love the sport of basketball also to watch, so I would definitely go and watch a Bulls game.
So the noise and the crowd noise at United Center is comparable, better, or worse than Bell MTS Place in Winnipeg?
It's different. I think in the Bell MTS Center there, it gets really loud there, and everyone loves it. Like everyone loves it. But in the United Center, it holds a lot more people. It's just a way different atmosphere, but it's really awesome.
Is it more rowdy?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay, we're going back to the 5. Number 4. What is your favorite team right now to play against in the USHL?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to say Team USA. Maybe I've had the most success individually against them this year.
Absolutely. How interesting is it to play a team that's necessarily, representing the entire nation?
It's pretty cool.
Or is it just like every other team?
Yeah, no,
Just like every other team?
I think it's special. I think it's a pretty cool opportunity these guys have to play there and stuff. And I mean, you get to wear your country on the front of your jersey for the entire season and not just for these special little tournaments and stuff. So I think it's pretty cool.
Last question I'm going to ask you before I let you go. Second year with Chicago, where do you see your next step, Dawson? I know you're going to school now, or you're continuing your schooling. Where do you see your next step athletically and academically?
So like I'm looking to go to the college route right now, but I haven't made any decisions for sure yet of where I'm going or anything like that. But I think next season I'll be back with the Steel for sure. And I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Okay, Dawson, I forgot. We're going to call it the fabulous 6. So there's one more question. If you could talk to any of your boys at home that aren't playing right now, what message would you tell them to keep their hopes up?
I think I would just say to them, like, never give up on the dream. You gotta persevere. You gotta go through all this adversity and stuff. And if you really want it in the end, you gotta keep working and never take a day off.
Couldn't have summed it up any better. Dawson Pasternak, forward with Chicago Steel. You still wearing number 11?
I am.
Number 1 in our hearts tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. We're going to let you go, Dawson. We're going to grind your GM a little bit here on part 2 of On the Ice. Have a great rest of the evening, Dawson. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Really appreciate you taking time. Now get back to your studies, all right?
Awesome. Sounds good.
Okay, bud. Now is Dawson Pasternak, forward with the Chicago Steel. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to bring in Mr. Ryan Hardy here on the ice, part 2, as we discuss more about the importance of the league continuing its play during this pandemic and the closing gap of American Canadian hockey players. So stay with us here on the ice. As promised, part two, Mr. GM Ryan Hardy. Ryan, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Theo. How are you doing?
Fabulous. Thanks for taking the time. I saw you jump in to catch a little bit of Dawson's ending of that interview. How do you think you did?
You know, I'd give him like a 6.5 out of 10.
Uh-oh.
Thought his answers were pretty good. He got, more comfortable as we went along, but we stumped him on a couple. We got some work to do there.
Well, we got that's what we do, Ryan, is we prepare them for those non-genuine answers that we've seen so many times. We talk about Bull Durham specials or, blaming it on this or not putting your teammates under the bus, so to speak. You did a good job not doing any of that, Ryan.
That's good. That's what we're looking for. No, he's a good kid.
Right on, right. How did you first come across Dawson and his play?
Yeah, so Dawson, when he first came to the States, was 2 years ago. He played for Sioux Falls Power. Came down from Manitoba to play there, and I watched him. And then around Christmas time, he actually had signed in Portland with the Western Hockey League. So we didn't draft him or go through that process with him. I think at that time he was pretty well set on that path. And then the opportunity came, I guess it would be September of 2019, for us to get him down here, and we did, and it's been good ever since.
Ryan, I got to ask you a personal question. I see it on the bottom of the screen there. Everything you touch turns golden or really, really good. I mean, a couple of years with Boston, working in their player development, their scouting. You've had a tremendous record with Chicago. Your work with the USA development program and development teams there. What is it about your montage, your play, what you ask for out of your players and your teams that makes everything so successful?
Yeah, I don't know that it has a ton to do with me. I think I've been lucky to work in, the three places that you referenced, which are all amazing places here, the NTDP and obviously for the Boston Bruins. And I think for me, I just try to, whether it's for the coaches that are working with me or for the players, I just try to look at the world through their lens and kind of provide as much support as I can for them and challenge them to reach their potential, and then try to give them the resources to reach their potential. And like I said, I've been really lucky to have a few different jobs here and just to get to work with these incredibly talented kids. We've been fortunate to win more often than not and collect a few trophies along the way. But more than anything, I love hockey and I love helping young people and just try to be there to support them and guide them as they try to reach their own individual goals.
Certainly something that none of us did. The stoppage of the season last year. How difficult was it for you to deliver that message to the team and have everything shut off so abruptly?
Yeah, it was an interesting stretch there. I think, we're going back to March of last year. I think the fear of the virus was so great that as devastating as it was to have to have that conversation at that time, the fear of what could go wrong was probably greater. So as painful as it wasn't all that bad because you can kind of put things in perspective at that time. I think as time has gone along, when we told the kids, we were kind of like, hey, we're going to take a 2-week pause and we'll be back, and kind of laid it off that way. And then, as time went along, it became pretty apparent that we weren't coming back. So it was a little bit of a softer landing that we were able to find through that process. But certainly it was difficult. And, for us to reflect back on what we were in the midst of closing in on accomplishing, which probably, is not very often done in junior hockey. It's disappointing to look at that lost opportunity. But at the same time, we were proud of a lot of things that we did and proud of the success that a lot of guys that have moved on have had and a lot of guys that are still here are having. And, this has been a crazy year, but we're just plugging away and just trying to take it a day at a time and continue to move forward.
Absolutely. Plugging along is a good way to put it. Unable to really plan what we haven't been able to do north of the border. But let's fast forward to August when, Ryan, you guys as an entire league decided to keep moving forward and continue to have that season. When you knew that information was coming to you and you knew protocols and guidelines were going to be followed, what were your take what was your take on the fact that you're looking up above the board and you're like, why aren't they playing hockey either? I mean, here's the USHL, a very good tier 1 program, running each weekend, handling itself, taking care of business, and almost seeing a full season almost completed.
Yeah, it's even down here, I think it's two sides of the political spectrum of how this virus is viewed. And, certainly up north in Canada, they're taking a much more conservative approach. And, I don't think any of us really know. Time will tell, what was the right way to go about this or what was the wrong way. Obviously for us, we've been able to power through and work through this. And for our organization, I mean, we do take the virus very seriously. Like, we have the kids masked up, all throughout the day in the rink. We amended some of the ways we do meetings. We take 2 buses to away games. Kids that are in the same billet house, they stay together on the road. And then if the kid is alone in a billet house, he gets his own hotel room. So we've made these, different, and then each kid checks in every day with a daily questionnaire about, who they might have come in contact with. And then if a kid is, comes in contact with the virus or gets the virus, we go through a extensive kind of 3-week protocol, and that includes some heart testing and some monitoring to make sure that before we put a guy like that back on the ice, that we know that his heart and his lungs are where they need to be. So it's pretty extensive. It costs a lot of money, but I think if you're going to play, that's the only way to do it. And, we've been fortunate to play. And, I think that for us down here, it's been a battle. It's been a struggle. The virus is one thing. The mental part for the kids is another. And I can't imagine what the kids in Canada are going through. That hockey is so much of the fabric of people in your country. And these kids, it's their favorite thing to do. And to not even be able to go on the outdoor rink and play with your buddies in some provinces has to be devastating. And we definitely, feel for those guys. I think hockey is a real tight-knit community, and everyone, whether you're, we compete at World Junior and in the Olympics, but the rest of the time we're all on the same side, and, it's for me to think about overagers, in Tier 2 in Canada, or even, overagers in the Western Hockey League or the Ontario Hockey League, or guys in their draft year, just to be deprived of this opportunity or to have their life change in what should be such an amazing time. Our heart breaks for them, and we're competitive for players, but we really, want all to be playing and all the kids to be happy and having success.
Ryan, you touched on a topic about how it's nice to see World Juniors, Americans and Canadians compete. I saw that little glimmer in your eye when you mentioned it. I'm not going to take it away from you. Every time we play in the finals, you seem to have Canadians' numbers, and I'm okay with that because it shows that there is a window or there's not much disparity between the two countries anymore. What USA Hockey Development is doing has been, not overshadowed by Hockey Canada, but in your eyes and your thoughts, what has USA Hockey done to quote unquote have Canada's number when it comes to those one game situations and just beating us to the punch?
Yeah, I would say there's probably a couple of components. I think even down here, we still view Canada as the world superpower in hockey. I don't think that we hide from that. I think that as Americans, we do think that we're peers. We do think that we can, we go out and play Canada and expect to win. But at the same time, when they come out in that red jersey, like it's like playing the Yankees. You know what you're getting into. So I think the respect always exists. That as USA Hockey gets better and better, Canada is still the country that we're all chasing. And I think we've had a couple things that have happened down here. Certainly a lot of players, NHL players, that stayed here in different communities and raised their kids and coached those kids. We're starting to grow hockey all around this country. I think the national team program, those guys, we saw it with Trevor Zegras. Those guys, the 01 birth year, for example, 97 birth year, similar. They go through and they dominate international hockey in 17 year, 18 year. and they're used to playing Canada. The fear doesn't exist anymore against Canada and Russia, where you go and you're like, man, these guys are so good. We just have to hang on for dear life and hope we win. Like, they're used to winning those games. And the core of our team in the World Junior Tournament, a lot of them, at least half of them, play together in a national program, where in Canada, you're pulling from all across the 3 major junior leagues, and then you get 2 or 3 guys out of college, and they bring them together, where, the nucleus of our team has played together. And then our kids, too, are predominantly coming out of college, and they play against 23, 24, 25-year-old men, very similar to the Scandinavian teams or the Russian teams playing against pros, and the Canadian teams are predominantly playing, 17, 18, 19 years old and major junior. And regardless of the level of talent that exists, I think it certainly gives the U.S. team a leg up in some of those heavier lifting games, where those kids have been through that process, many times in college.
We talk about that gap closing. It's really, the chemistry that is built, like you said, keeping a team together that much longer. It really shows dividends. We won't bring up the Blue Barrel story. We'll leave that one aside. Ryan, as you smile again, I like that. One thing I want to ask you, did you ever think that you'd be a GM of a team and have players from literally each corner of the United States and Canada playing on one team? I mean, you got players from California, Arizona, Florida, East, West, North. I mean, does that just show that the talent is all over now? And is Tier 1 hockey in the USHL using this as a platform for these players to get to that next level that may not have been so dominant a decade ago?
Yeah, I think for us, again, I think the national team, because they play in our league, they set the bar. So then everyone else has to compete against them. And if you want to recruit players and you want to do things, then you have to have offerings that are to a standard that is a viable option, in competing against them. And for us, I think our group has done a good job, kind of like to say, scouring the globe for players, and then players that have come down here. We have Dawson on, but last year we had Owen Power. He played here for 2 seasons. I guess that's another sore spot of Canadian World Junior team we don't want to talk about. Yeah, we had Owen Power down here, and he kind of changed everything for us in recruiting. He came down here, made the decision to come as a 15-year-old, and now it's maybe not a foregone conclusion, but it's all indications are going to be that he's going to go number 1 in the NHL draft. And for us in this little hockey team in the USHL, to hang that flag, and last year we had a first-round pick and Roman Brisson. This year requires a couple more on top of Owen, and we've just been able to gain momentum. And again, I think it's a testament to the quality of the kids that we have and the coaches that we have, and certainly what our owner provides for us. Like I was talking about before, some of those adjustments we've made in the virus, and we don't have fans, so it's a significant investment from our ownership. And but yeah, it's been a pleasure, and I think finding those guys, like even from the United States, I mean, we have 3 guys from Arizona. Last year we had a couple guys from California. We're not just pulling from the Midwest; we're pulling from all of the United States. We got guys from Ontario. We got guys from Western Canada. We got Slovakian goalie, and typically we have a couple Finns and a couple Swedes. So it comes from all over.
It's all over. You're only missing a couple of guys from Asia, and you're all set, Ryan, right?
Yeah, Youngstown, they got the market cornered on Japanese players.
They do, that's right.
Good young Japanese players.
Well, you mentioned something that's dear to my heart, and that's about tradition and pedigree and developing a pedigree within an organization. You're able to hang that jersey of number 1 draft picks. Ryan, I don't know the exact numbers, but I'm going to pump your tires a bit. I think it's about a .750 winning percentage since you've become GM of the Chicago Steel. How impressive is that to explain to a potential new player, rookie, or an opportunity for a player to join the Steel, to show them your record, how well the team bonds, how well the team plays on the ice, and how well your owners truly take care of the entire organization?
Yeah, it's interesting. We actually don't talk about winning all that much, which is kind of strange. I would say we pretty much all we do is just sell the kids under development. We just say, hey, you come here, we have a full-time strength coach. We have 3 guys in player development, and we play a pretty unique style of hockey. And if you like offense and you like making plays and you like creating out there in a fun environment where, like our coach, all of our coaches, they don't yell, they don't scream, they just have conversations with kids and we build relationships and make it fun, but demand that you work hard. Like you work hard, you be selfless, be part of the team, and so we just sell the development. And I think everybody checks the standings. You know, it's nice to all right, hey, the first place team wants to have us. I'm sure that is a draw, but it's not usually something that we talk about or don't feel like we've had to. And it's been interesting in the last couple of years, which is very, I guess, unique to a USHL team. Throughout Canada and even some different areas internationally, the brand of the Chicago Steel has grown pretty significantly, and everyone kind of around the world knows what it is in this level of hockey, and that certainly made my job a lot easier in the recruiting process and trying to get players to come here.
Well, I'm not going to lie, Ryan. When I checked the standings and I saw the Chicago Steel up top and I checked the roster to see if there were any Winnipeggers on it, and there was Dawson. And the story of how he became a Steel is truly remarkable. The turnaround, him coming from Sioux Falls and playing literally the next day in a preseason game, it's pretty impressive. Ryan, I asked Dawson this question as his part of the interview. I'm going to ask you the same thing. You don't talk about wins very often, but success would be measured in terms of what this season?
Well, we expect to win, so certainly that would be nice. I think that we try to take a day-by-day approach of just saying a successful day is if we create an environment where each kid can maximize what it is they're trying to do. And if we can look at the end of the season and say, okay, every one of our players developed in all these areas that we were on them about, I think that is successful. And for us, we have a lot of really talented players, and they seem to really buy into this team concept and what we're doing. So, it is challenging sometimes, as we have these kind of record-setting seasons. Sometimes we get hung up in, I'll admit, I check the standings, and every year I've been here, the top 2 scorers in the league that's been on our team, and so you can see how many of those you can get the ball. So some of that you do catch yourself looking at different times. But I think for me, I think it's like my 3 years here, I've already got a success. And I mean that in a team way that I'm proud of. We've done what we set out to do. Whether we win the trophy at the end of the year, that involves some luck too, and we've got to be like, right now we're really bit by the injury bug real bad, and we're just treading water, and our young guys are elevating, and we're doing what we need to do. And we expect to win, but if we don't, I think every year is judged maybe 5 years later about where those players went and what they became as people and players. And, at the end of the day, if all the guys on our team can look back and say, the Steel provided me an incredible opportunity, and Ryan Hardy heard about me a lot as a person, then we would have won.
Refreshing to hear that from a GM who's only been with the team for this your 3rd season now, Ryan.
Yep.
And truly remarkable what you've done with the Steel, the program, the play. I really want to thank you very much for yourself and Dawson spending some time with me tonight. How many games left in this season before we start playing playoffs?
We've got 32 or 34 left.
Okay.
A lot of 3 and 3s because we play until the middle of April. So a little under 3 months in the regular season. And then the playoffs are short this year. Usually there's 6 teams on each side. This year it's 4. And usually it's a 5-game series. The first 2 this year are 3 to give us some room at the end if we have to have some COVID makeup games or what have you. But yeah, it's we got 30-something games left, but they'll go quick.
Well, I look forward to seeing the Chicago Steel at the top, the USA hockey team finishing 3rd or 4th, somewhere in there. And good luck to the rest of the season.
Awesome, Theo. Thanks so much for having Dawson and I on.
No, it's my pleasure. It's great to talk to 2 members of the USHL, GM Ryan Hardy and forward from Winnipeg, Dawson Pasternak, here on the ice on Amateur Sports TV. Make sure you check us out Thursday nights at 7 o'clock, sorry. My apologies. Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 here on Amateur Sports TV and all of our social media feeds, your #1 source for amateur sports. Thanks very much. Take care. Have a great rest of the evening. And bye-bye. Till next time.